Welly Diecast, and in this segment I'm going to cover a little story that happened to me with a box of cars that you'll probably find at least educational, maybe. In the background there are some cars that my good friend Louie traded me, and right off that bat I don't remember what I traded him for those. It was something... cast resin engines, that's what it was. It was some resin engines from some Superfast Matchbox cars, and he asked if he could have some, and we traded, and all I really wanted was just a box of cars. So I got a box of Matchbox cars. I really like this little taxi here. This one's pretty cool. That's my favorite one. So I'm going to roll these guys out of the scene here. And as I'm doing that, I'll continue my story. So here at the massive Welly Diecast Studios, we get quite a few boxes of cars in the mail, and anything that I can find that is a good price for large lots of cars. So to get the cars that I like to collect, I'll usually buy real big lots, anywhere from 100 to the biggest we bought was thousands of cars. They show up in boxes, and the boxes are just filled with tons and tons of cars. Most of them are either cars we already have or cars that really aren't what I want. But to get to the good cars for a cheaper price, that's kind of what I have to do. And I got a lot of cars. It was 400 cars that showed up last week. And in that lot, I knew there was going to be some Superfast Matchbox cars, which you know is what I collect. And I found this little guy, and he is a cool little Range Rover. I think this is a Range Rover. Let me double check. Land Rover. Sorry, it's a Land Rover 90. I should know that. It's a Land Rover 90, and this is the Park Ranger variation color. With these Superfast cars, if you're not familiar with how they work, they don't really have years of Matchbox cars up until about the late 90s. So like what we're used to with Hot Wheels having years, there's like 250 cars in the 2013 or 14 series of Hot Wheels. Matchbox just released cars, and they didn't really have year designation. So whenever the card art changed, it just changed. And they would release these castings over and over and over. Some of them were real popular, and there might be 20, 30 different variations of that casting, but they really weren't variations like we think of within the year. They just used the casting until it wore out. So those variations could run over 10, 12 years in some cases. And this Land Rover 90 is a pretty common one. This car by itself really isn't worth too much, probably $2-3 in mint condition. And this guy's he's in real good condition, but not mint. He's got a few little scratches right there. But I found this car in the lot, getting back to our story, and I was excited. I have two others here just to kind of show you my point. These little Land Rover 90s are all Matchbox cars, but all were released over different time periods. Like this blue one and the red one basically have the same tampos on them, but the tampos are different colors. They really aren't considered variations of the same car. They're just the same car that was released over different years. And so I've got about 5 of these little cars at this point, but I really liked this one. So I went through the rest of the box, and when I go through these large boxes, I tend to go through, throw all the cars that I think are Hot Wheels in one pile, throw all the cars that I think are Matchbox in another pile, and then anything that's neither of those two goes in a third pile. And usually I can do that pretty quick. Been doing this for a while. Well, as I was going through, I'm going to leave my little Matchbox car back there. As I was going through, I threw these guys, this one, whoops, crash, this guy, and this guy, I threw all in the Matchbox pile. And why would I do that? Well, when you're looking at them real quick, those wheels there look like Matchbox wheels. So just to give you an idea, here's the Matchbox wheels. These are on the Range Rover. And at first glance, they looked pretty similar. And they look like the Matchbox Superfast wheels. So I was excited about that. And I thought, well, Matchbox Superfast has double-decker bus. I thought that's what it was. But no, these are Maisto cars. And actually 3 different versions of Maisto cars. Start with this double-decker bus here. Little Maisto double-decker bus. If I get my magnifying glass here, you'll be able to see that. And there you go. If I can get it to zoom in. Except my magnifying glass is so dirty, that's not going to help us. It's Maisto. That's the Maisto mark there. And that's a Maisto double-decker bus. Look this one up. The wheels on this are a little odd. The normal version of this has like a 10-spoke version. This one came in a double package, and you can tell by the wheels. So the reason I'm saying that is because when you're at shows and you're looking at cars, most of the time you can tell the make just by the different wheel types, the different body types. But sometimes it's a little tricky. This one's a neat car. This Chevrolet Corvette, and it's got this kind of cool Corvette Chevy symbol on the front there. It's all metal though. You can see it's been played with. There's that Maisto logo right there. Zoom in on that. And this car, look at the suspension. This one really is like a Superfast car from the 70s. This was Maisto's, one of their premium line, and I want to say it was from, shoot, now I forgot, like the Road Racer series or something like that. But this is a nice little car, and it still rolls really well. It's been played with, but I really like that car. Again, another Maisto. Here's another one. Now this is a little bit more like what we're used to from the Maisto cars we see today. You can hear there's no suspension in that guy. Here's suspension, see? He bounces, kind of rattles with a little tinny rattle. This guy just kind of clunks. This is a little bit more like the Maistos that we see at Walmart today. But it's got those same wheels, and the wheels are kind of raised there at the hubcaps. Hard to see. This is a Denver pumper, and this one has the blue headlight or siren, and he probably came in a double pack, I think is what the blue one was. I am not remembering right now. So then in that same pile were these 3 cars, which again I thought were Matchboxes, and I just kind of had glanced at them, and I'm going to leave them there for a second and see if anybody might know what those are, and then I'll tell you. This is like Kyosho fans compare the manufacturer series. I'm stealing his idea. It's flattery. These are Wellies, and they're 3 different kind of versions. This one has some real nice suspension on it. It's kind of hard to see. And this guy is kind of like a premium model for Welly. And Welly is a brand that we really don't see much here in the U.S. They are made in China, I think, and I don't know where the name Welly came from. Sounds English, but made in China. And they've been around since the late 70s, I believe. And they tend to make similar cars to what we think of as Maisto. The cars they make today are kind of they have like a premium line that's more like Maisto's premium line. And then they have a lower end line that's more like our, like the cars you would find at the 99-cent store, something along those lines. But yeah, this is a little Welly, little Mini Cooper. And I don't see too many Wellies. We don't have them here in the U.S. And I'll try and find a picture of how this one is packaged. But this one would have come with a base. You can see right there. It would have screwed right into a base. And there's the Welly logo on the bottom there. Made in China. And it does have a number on it. I'm not sure they kept track of these continually by numbers. Real nice rims on it. The rims on these will pop out. They're separate from the wheels. Hard to tell there, but they're separate. But they do not have much in the way of suspension. You can see that I get a shot there, that axle just runs straight through. And this particular one, those are plastic tires, but plastic tires with treads, which is kind of unusual to see that kind of detail in a plastic tire. That's kind of one of their higher end lines. This is their low end line. It's still a Welly. I don't know what number 8378 means. Zoom in on that. But you could see from those axles, this one is pretty cheap. He's a low end car, this guy. He's nothing too exciting. This one though, I really like this one. He's going to stay in the collection. This is a nice car. It's a BMW Roadster Z3 Welly. And this is a nice car. So this would be the equivalent of our Hot Wheels, maybe a little bit higher end than a Hot Wheel. But they really do have nice suspension, kind of like the old Superfast cars. So be on the lookout for Welly cars anytime you're at the shows. So I did get my Superfast car. You'll see over in the workshop series, we did get a bunch of other Superfast cars that we're working on to restore. This guy just didn't need any restoring. Let's put him over here with his friends. Okay, so the other thing that we did this week is we got some more customs done. And I will roll these over here. Here is one of the customs that we got done. And we got into using our masks that we were making. The reason this guy got made is I wanted a example car. We're going to be selling the airbrush masks here probably by this time next month. We just need to get the store set up on Facebook and you can buy the airbrush masks. And we'll have about 6 different versions to start with. We'll also have airbrush stencils and we'll have tampos of various logos and car stripes, numbers, that type of thing. Obviously this guy was one of the gassers and he's been repainted. They're still black and this one's also black, but that's a pretty nice little flame job on that. If you do paint flames, you'll know that painting colored flames on a black car can be difficult, and how I did that was I sprayed primer down, white primer first with the mask. And the primer actually acts as a seal around the mask, so you'll get sharper lines, and then I just painted in those lines. So that's not an outer paint job. That was a positive space. In other words, I'm painting in the flame there instead of painting the black around the flame. So there's that one. And then we've got this guy. And this guy was another one that we did with the flame masks. This one, it's a little ARR CUDA. AAR CUDA. AAR CUDA. Yep, sorry. It's got these weren't Jada wheels. What were these? The Bling series. Now I'm going blank. But I like those tires on it. So we got those in there. It's also been lowered quite a bit, and it's hard to see, but if you see that gap back here, it's been lowered about probably 1/8 of an inch so that it fits real close to the ground, about as close as I could get it easily. And should have had a regular one here to compare to. But real happy with how that one turned out. Again, it's using the masks that we'll be selling, so I was trying to come up with some cars I could use as examples. So 2 new customs. Happy with those 2. They came out nice. There you go. So that's going to be it for my segment here. We're going to move over to Andrew's segment real quick, and then we'll move over to the workshop. Be back in just a... Okay, and we're back, and Andrew's got a quick little segment here. He finally, after about 4 months, found his original Tonka trucks that had been missing for some time. We got these in Arizona a while back, and then they were missing, and we thought we had lost them, and then he finally found them. Andrew puts things in little piles all over the house, so he finally found them. and he wanted to show them to you. So why do you like these Tonka trucks?
They're bigger than other cars.
Yeah, they are bigger, like just for scale. Here's an Angry Bird Hot Wheel. You can see they're a lot bigger. They're also a lot heavier. Pretty substantial weight to these things. This one here is heavier than the tank. What else do you like about them?
They have rubber tires.
Yeah, they do. They have kind of rubber-ish tires.
Rubberish.
Yeah, these tires here are kind of rubber. The tank doesn't have rubber tires. It just has those. But these have pretty beefy tires on them that are, I don't know if I'd say they're rubber, but they're a little squishy. So, yeah, they're pretty neat, huh? Mm-hmm. They carry these at our Walmarts. Yeah, Walmart. Target carries them quite a bit. They seem to come out with about 3-4 different series a year with these. This is the Army series. And most of theirs will have 2 colors of each car. So, something like this. So, he wanted to show those to you. That was one of his finds, even though we got it in our own house for the week. So, we'll be back with the customs in just a second. Bye-bye. Okay, we're back and we're over in the workshop. And I thought what I would cover is what else we've been doing this week. We did make some customs. I showed you those in the first part. Mostly just some paint jobs that we were doing. But, let me fix my stand here. We got some Matchbox cars in a large lot of cars. And after searching through the whole lot, we got a bunch of them that really just needed some cleaning up. So I thought I'd show those to you. First off, this guy you've seen before, he finally just got done. I originally was going to redo his tampo, which was kind of an American flag tampo. This is a, what's this guy's name? He's a Siva Spyder. And he never was this blue. He was a darker blue. But he was pretty beat up when I got him. Really beat up. But his windshield was completely filled with dirt. The inside was trashed. The outside had only about half its paint. And this black piece of plastic was pretty scratched up. And you can see how well you can bring these guys back to life with a little bit of effort. He's been repainted. Put some enamel on him. That's where the shine's coming from. The black plastic piece here and his windshield have been polished back up. And all those scratches in the windshield are pretty much gone. You can see just from the light going across there. This guy's in real good shape now. I changed the color of the inside. It's got his steering wheel on the right side there. I really like this one. And his suspension still works great. He's still got his original base, original suspension. And he rolls great. Whoa! Get my camera here going. He rolls great. So that guy is done and he is going in the collection. Next up are these two. And these guys are not in great shape. They're played with. We've cleaned them up and they look a lot better than they originally did. But just wanted to show you kind of what you inherit when you're trying to restore these things. A car like this, with its solid paint color, really not much in the way of tampos on this, but a lot of nicks and scratches. This one could pretty easily be brought back to life. The reason I didn't bother with this one is I was going to have a hard time recreating that red paint job, and I have some of these already. So this guy, he's just going to stay as he is. I don't like to take him apart if I don't have to, and he's in pretty good shape, but he probably won't make the collection. This guy, he won't make the collection either. He's a little bit newer model and probably really not worth the effort. Look at that tampo. Boy, Matchbox really went through a phase where they could not do tampos well at all. I mean, that is some bad design going on there on that thing. Nobody that had this car would ever put that design on it. Sorry. But in this one, what I wanted to show you, and I don't know if I can get it here on video, is the windshield on this is in pretty good shape. See all the beat up pieces? I can get those scratches out. But see all the dirt that's down in there? To get that dirt out, I'd really have to take the rivets out. And if I wanted to, I could repaint just these top pieces with a silver, and I could match this silver pretty easily. But if I taped off that tampo, which would not be really that hard, that's a pretty simple design to tape off. I could bring this guy back, but he's a newer one and really not worth it. So I think we've probably put as much effort as we're going to into him. He'll go into the maybe later box. But let's get to the ones that we were able to bring back to life a little bit. This guy, kind of a common car. This one shows up at a lot of shows. It's got that paint splatter paint job going on it. The front end opens. This is a Mustang. What is it? It's a Mustang something. It's a INSA Mustang. They made about 15 different color varieties of this. This is one of the most common ones. And this guy, he's in pretty good shape. I have better versions of this. I think I have 3 others that are in better shape. And he's got a few little nicks here on his fender. So this guy will go into the stay in the closet box for the time being. But we were able to clean him up a little bit. This guy I was really excited about, a little stretcher fetcher. And if you saw this guy earlier in one of the previous videos, he was really beat up. And you can still see the plastic's a little beat up here on the side. But he is as cleaned up as he is going to be. He got new tampos. So those are recreated tampos on there to match the old ones. He got a new paint job. And he got this kind of new pearl white paint. It probably looks white there in the video, but it actually has a pearl in it. He got his windshield all cleaned up using my what's it called here? My Pledge Floor Care polish. Really brings those windshields back to life. He got his back door painted and fixed so it works. He got his insides all cleaned out. And really, after I got done with this, I was thinking I really should have painted it olive green, because there's an olive green version of this that's really hard to find. The white one's not so hard to find, but look at his suspension. This guy still works, still fast. He's zipping around. Finally, he's got some life back in him, a little oomph back in his step. He's going in the collection. Here's another one. This one needed some cleaning up. The inside was pretty dirty, and we cleaned him all out. There you go. Nice paint job on this guy, huh? And he is not a Superfast. You can tell by his kind of matte plastic base. This guy's probably a 1990s, but really like him. Nice little model. This guy, another one. This guy got polished, and he was dirty, and I really thought that he was all beat up, but it was just a layer of dirt on top, and all it took was some cleaning up. Inside was clean. That's good. That always makes it easy. Kept his rivets intact. He is a, what is this guy? A Sterling, I think? Yeah, he's a Sterling. Has a nice suspension. I think this is one of the Enterprise or Universal series of Matchboxes. Probably from the early 90s, I'm guessing. They made some really nice cars during that era. So, there's that guy. This guy, one of the ones I'm happiest with, he took a little bit of cleaning up. He's got a little ding in his windshield back here. I don't know if it'll show up, but he's got a little crack in his windshield. But look at him. He is spunky. He's bouncing. His door's open. No paint on him, just polish. And he is going in my collection. I don't have that one. This one had all sorts of damage on the paint. There were chips all along here. And this one just needed some paint. So I just matched the white paint. And I'd be surprised if you could tell where I touched him up. But he's got about 30 spots on him that are touched up. Some of them were rather large spots. So if you're trying to touch these cars up, the best way to do it is pick cars where you can match the paint, first of all. That's the first trick. Pick cars that have windshields that are intact. That's the second trick, because that's the hardest thing to replace. But when I match the paint, all I do is paint in this case, a little bit of white primer, and then I paint it over the white with a little bit of pearl mixed in the white, and that kind of matched almost perfect. And you just fill in those little spots, and then when you're done, I just paint over a little bit of clear and polish it with a little Dremel polishing brush, and basically it just sands it or shines it right down to its original version. And I don't have this one, so this was one of the ones I was happiest with. His little doors work. Really like this little car. He's going in my collection. This guy, another one we don't have. This one is a, oh, I should know this. What is it? It's a Super C racer, Group C racer. And this was one of the last ones put out. This pink version's pretty common. It's pink and blue, although it's not showing up much as blue in my picture. But this guy has a huge chip out of the top. And I don't know if it's going to show up. You can see a little bit of a ding there in the top. And that's as good as I could get it. The metal was actually damaged underneath it. But he goes into the collection. He's in pretty good shape. His little spoiler there is a little bit dinged up, but back in good shape. This little guy, little red Porsche 911. Doors work. Didn't repaint him. I was afraid I couldn't match that red. I have all sorts of trouble matching red. If you haven't figured out, I think it's the hardest color to match. Real hard to get the reds to look right. But yeah, this guy, there was about 30 different versions of this particular car. I think I have about 12 or 15 of them, but I did not have this one. So this guy's going. His little hook there is broken off too. And last one in that group was this one. This is a, I want to say International Tour Bus, Icarus Coach Bus. And he's a Superfast, I think. Is he a Superfast? Not listed as a Superfast, so he must have come along right after the Superfast. He's got the Superfast wheels, though. And he rolls pretty good. I could not find any information on this purple version, but I don't think he's worth much. And he's not in great shape. He rolls great, but his paint job has some nicks on it. So I think he's going to go into the stays in the closet, doesn't make the shelf group. So I just wanted to share some of the things we've been doing here in the workshop with you. We're always doing stuff out here. Keep an eye out. We are going to get the store up soon for selling the masks, the stencils, and tampos. We're about a week or two away from launching the site to do so, and you will be the first to know here on the channel. So thanks for watching.